My first reaction to this detailed presentation was, this is very well thought out, and a little bit of something for everybody. As a former president of the Historical Society, I'm delighted to hear that they finally gotten around to thinking about a home for the Historical Society. And when you're talking about fire and police, I'm not an enemy of protecting the public in either area. And we start talking about giving the town beach a little better usage, some better facilities, I'm all for that. The only problem I had was with the way you chose to do it, and the timing of when you chose to do it. The big guiding light here seems to be the town of West Haven and its facility out in Saddle Rock. We have nothing in common with that facility in East Haven. The town of West Haven acquired that under duress as part of a global settlement of extensive litigation. It was jammed down their throats. They aren't making a lot of money out of the project, and I question Mr. Sorbo's figures, because the information that I've acquired, and as a former West Havener, I can talk to a lot of people out there, they clear $12,000 a year, and they kind of wink at all the services that the town provides to make the place run. It's nice to say we're going to have $600 a booking, but they must have come down on their bookings. Because when I tried to rent the place, they wanted $600. Art says it's now $550. But those projections for those rentals are astronomical and are not realistic. And I'll give you an example of why I don't think it's realistic to think that your 100-person banquet facility or meeting facility is going to bring in any money. That's too small a facility to interest anybody. Just in recent years, go right to West Haven, since we're in West Haven. West Haven has lost 2 such facilities. The Masons finally packed it in after constantly retrenching. Just last year, the Knights of Columbus sold their building, being converted to offices. If you don't know where Water Street, the old Amity Club building, totally destroyed because it wasn't worth keeping it up because of the size of the facility, and they had their own parking. Those facilities do not generate the kind of business that you're talking about. Now, I'm glad to hear that you don't expect to keep it alive by the rentals. But what you're saying is that we would like this all-purpose facility for $3 million to start down at the shore. And I say to you, in another time, another place, and a lot of other things, it might make some sense. But let's look at the town of East Haven while we sit here talking about this mere $3 million that Mr. Risen kind of laughed off as just a little thing like that. No, you won't be around when it's, hey, Mr. Risen, he's alive and our kids will. Maybe. The first thing I would point out to you is that this is not a facility the town of East Haven needs as it's been portrayed here. All of these needs could be addressed in other ways and in other manners. If we can afford this, then I hope that tomorrow morning Mr. DeSorbo will get a crew working to repair the track around the old junior high school on Hudson Street. There are ridges in that track which our kids use every day that you can break your neck on, and they haven't been touched in years. That's one little thing. Take a look at your streets. I hope you have a good mechanic, because you get a lot of bumps on East Haven streets. They don't believe in paving, except when it's necessary. And I'm told about it. And then comes to my favorite project, the library. The one with the ceiling falling down that the Board of Finance members were astounded at. The only town in the 10-town area which hasn't had an improvement and a renovation of its library in the last 15 years. That's a thrill, I'm sure. Well, what I'm suggesting to you is that there are better ways to spend the town's money better places to put that money if we can afford it. And I also question whether we can afford it, or whether this is the time and place for it. Because we haven't gotten our tax bills yet from the delayed reevaluation. I suspect that if the bills were out already, this room would, you'd have standing room only in this room. I'm not trumping the non-payment of taxes, and I'm not advocating low taxes. I think that's a citizen's responsibility. But this is a project that, like Topsy, just grew. Somebody decided, I think I know who that was, that this is a great project. And now, what do you think? How can you take a pot shot at this project? It's got something for everybody, but it doesn't have enough of anything for anybody. We don't have a teen center. This won't give us that. We don't have a decent children's room in our library. This won't give us that. We have a small all-purpose room in the center of town, 70-odd people. This won't add to the capacity of that place. I won't go on because there are other people here I'm sure want to speak. But I think this whole project was conceived, ill-considered, and it filled the cost of the town a bundle to carry, because you are not going to make out with those rents. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to address the town council. I had a lot of questions here and comments also, and some of my questions were answered. And the questions I have for the town council, and I'm sure you don't have the answers, but I wish you would consider getting the answers before any vote is taken up or down on this issue. One of the questions I have, as far as the bonding goes, if you can find out what that represents in a mill rate for the residents of East Haven. I think Paul's question is between 20 and 25 years to pay this off. What will it cost the taxpayers in hard dollars to maintain yearly, such as insurance, utilities, maintenance of the building? What town department will be responsible for the day-to-day operation of this facility? Will the town hire someone to run the facility? If so, will it be a part-time job or a full-time job? Art did answer the question that they would probably go out to bid for catering services. If the town owns the building, will you be able to serve alcoholic beverages on this property without a liability to the county? If you're going to rent it out for weddings or parties, that's going to be an issue. Will you have to provide police protection for any kind of events at that facility, and who will pay for that? And if it's approved, what can the town expect in yearly income? I know Art mentioned something about that, but I wish the town council would really try to find out what the dollar amount would be for that. And has anyone in town hall looked into any state or federal grants for a project for shoreline property to enhance for the residents? You know, there may be grants out there. We don't know that. And I don't know if they were checked into. And if it is called a museum, will the town offer times and dates for people to go in there? If you read the article last week in the Register in West Haven, they had a listing of the hours that it was open, including weekends, for residents to go in there and look at the museum. So that's another thing that you should think about. You know, when this purchase was done on the property, as a taxpayer, I was against it. And then I started thinking, I said, you know, this could be a good thing for our town, to purchase that property along the beach. And then the reason to buy that is you didn't want any development down there as far as condos or anything else. And who's the first one that wants to develop? The town. I mean, I think that property would make a great park there. I can just visualize nice trees down there, shrubbery, picnic tables. We have so many organizations in this town that would probably be willing to donate picnic tables the Lions Club, the Rotary, Little League organizations. There's probably so much way that the residents can get involved down there and make a beautiful shoreline park for our residents. And it wouldn't cost us that much money. And the other thing I would like to finish off with, if that building was on the west end of Main Street or on the Route 80 corridor, the town would have never bought Candlelight by the Sea. It was down by the shore. We had an opportunity. I'm sure the administration looked at it, had an opportunity. We took it off the tax rolls. You can't change that. It's a done deal. But let's not go crazy and wind up being in debt for $5 million.